Hello pilots, and welcome to another Eve Echoes video. Today I have a special video for you. This is going to be our first mass PvP Corp event that is scheduled. This is for the Vast Difference. This is my corporation that I'm CEO of, TVDI for short. Feel free to apply in-game if you want to look us up. And yeah, we'll go over some of the rules here, some of the details, and then we'll get into some gameplay. So here's the official Discord post I put out. During the next couple weeks, we will be planning our first mass PvP event, pitting TVDI pilots against each other in a match to the death. Multiple ships will enter, but only one victor will remain. There will be no entrance fee to participate, and the fight will be to the destruction of your ship. If you wimp out and warp away, you'll be disqualified and ineligible for any prizes. Speaking of prizes, we have first place, 500 million, second place, 250 million, third place, 100 million. Alright, here's how it's going to work. Each pilot will choose their ship and register it with me before March 23rd. All sizes and faction ships will be allowed. Choose carefully and fit for PvP. The order your ship enters the ring will be determined by ship size and quality. The largest ships will enter first and the smallest ships will enter last, with faction ships entering at the beginning of their category. Categories include all the sizes of ships, except for capitals. Each round will be approximately 2 minutes long before the next ship is allowed to enter. If a ship is destroyed or a pilot leaves the fighting area, they will be no longer allowed to continue. A container will be dropped, and if you drift more than 150 kilometers from it, you will be disqualified. Alright, so as we begin our prep for the event, we had one pilot who wanted to just basically observe. His name's Dalvik. So we just kind of let him come in a pod, just be at a distance, stay out of the fight, and just be an observer. I made sure that everybody that was on the list was in attendance. We did have one pilot drop out, but luckily he was, I believe, number 5 on the list, so we had a little bit of time for him to come back in. I made sure that everybody fleeted up, and what we did was, when it was your turn to come in, you fleet warp to me. I'm in the center of the fighting area. So you'll see here in a little bit, our first combatant is Radian Morgana. He was driving a Balthorn, which is a battleship size, and because it's a faction battleship, he was number 1 on the list, first to enter, and is going to have to deal with all the rest of the pilots when they come in. Alright, so you can see we're asking Radian to go ahead and warp in, because they're first on the list. They're going to be coming in, might as well start in position and ready to go, so that once everybody is ready, we can start. Now, this was probably the most expensive ship that we had entering the battle. And I made sure that I made a special note in Discord that be willing to risk your ships fit for PvP. If you drop any gear, we talked about this right before the event started. If you drop any mods, it's free game, free loot. So come in with what you're willing to risk, and Radiant decided to go ahead and risk that Balthorn, going for first place, trying to shoot for the 500 million. Alright, so our first combatant that's going to be entering, number 2 on the list, C.M.S.A.F. Saif. Saif is entering in a battle cruiser ship, a Cyclone. Now, when I looked at the list and I saw Balthorn first and then I saw Cyclone second, I was thinking Saif was going to go micro warp drive, keep his distance away, and just kind of pound Radiant from afar. I know Radiant likes to use the close-up lasers, and I know that if you get close to that Balthorn, it's going to tear you to pieces. So I expected Saif to just kind of come in, keep his distance, maybe wait for number 3 or 4 to come in, and then all of them will kind of team up and group up and fight the big faction battleship. But as you'll see in a little bit, that is the exact opposite of what happened. Alright, so Saif is going to warp in here, and we got some Balthorn on Cyclone action. Tried to get in some good shots, some good close-ups, make sure I see all the fighting and the destruction and the mayhem that was going to occur, and they just sat there. Yeah, I was like, hey, what's going on, guys? Are we not going to participate in the event? We're just going to look at each other's ships, have fun, drifting here in the middle of space, or are we going to actually get down to business? And unfortunately, or fortunately for the top 2, it turns out that they had worked out a deal before the match even started, and number 2, Saif, was not going to engage number 1, Radiant, and they were basically going to team up and destroy anything that came in. I believe that Saif was using a full defensive build, so just armor repairs, shield repairs, you name it, just stay alive as long as possible, and while Radiant with the Balhorn just tore things to pieces. And I expected maybe number 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 to team up. Definitely did not expect 1 and 2 to team up, because in my opinion that pretty much guarantees number 1 the victory. But this was their strategy going in, and this is something that I allowed. I wanted people to jump in and team up to take out bigger targets. I just really did not think that the 2 biggest targets would team up together. So we're gonna see if anybody can kind of warp in, do some damage, and maybe break up this little duo that's going on. Alright, so number 3 on our list, we had Piercingthorn. Piercingthorn was driving a battlecruiser size ship as well, the Hurricane prototype. And I was hoping that, because Piercingthorn is actually one of our more active PvP players, that Piercing would kind of come up with some PvP build to maybe break this duo. I was starting to get a little bit worried. You have a prototype battlecruiser warping in against a Balhorn and a Cyclone that's supporting it, and how's this gonna go? Alright, so here he comes in here, and here comes the action. This is when it's going to start to get good. I made sure I got a good shot of his ship. We got a nice orange looking skin here to be shot at. Looks like he's shield tanked. And I believe he started targeting the Balhorn first. Alright, and I was trying to do some commentary for the rest of the group that weren't in it yet, but as I closed this screen from talking about taking his big hit, I noticed that in the fleet window there on the left, his health is just dropping fast, and I don't think there's going to be any way he can survive. I know Saif's Cyclone had pretty much 0 DPS, so this is almost all Radiant's Balhorn just pounding the battlecruiser Hurricane prototype. And boom, nice explosion there. Not going to do much against that faction battleship, Pierce, but thanks for playing, thanks for coming out. There actually wasn't much that you could do against that Cyclone and Balhorn combination. What I was hoping was that he would kind of keep his distance, wait for other people to come in, kind of get a feel for the battle before he just straight up engaged, and he got way too close to the Balhorn. I think it was at this point that Radiant started getting a little bit razzed from the group and for not firing on the Cyclone, so we start seeing some laser damage hitting Saif's Cyclone, but he has so much tank because he went full defense that it really is not going to do too much. He's just going to kind of float there and wait. Alright, our next combatant is number 4, Crash Override, and Crash is going to be bringing a faction frigate. He's bringing the Garmur, and I was hoping from looking at the list that his speed would be able to get around the tracking of the Balhorn, but in order to do that, he's definitely going to need to keep a good distance to stay out of web range. Not only web range, but also those Nosses, those large Nosses that Radiant is carrying. That's going to just drain him real quick and make it so that his speed tanking isn't going to do very much. So, as we can see on the left hand side here, Crash is not on the list, but you can pretty much tell that's my ship right there. Try to get an observation of the fast ship here. And he's moving in. He started out by maintaining a good distance, but as you can see, the Nosses just start going and are just going to start sucking him dry. He's about 18 kilometers right now, 17. He's got to get in close enough for those small missiles to be in range. And we're going to see if he's able to speed tank, and no, not even close. That was just almost an instant kill. As soon as he got into range of those webs, slowed down, drained, just pop goes the faction frigate. Alright, so our next combatant is number 5, Hunting for Sanity. Hunting is coming in a Gila, and I actually had him below Crash on the list because of the cost of the ship, and also because I believe he disconnected or left for a bit and had to come back. I still wanted to fit him in because I didn't want that to cost him a spot in the competition, and we already had such a powerful duo in here. Might as well slot him in here and see if he can at least hold out until the next combatant comes in. Now, before Hunting came in, I started to say, okay, this is getting ridiculous. You got a Cyclone basically healing a faction battleship and taking things out one at a time. So I'm in my Naga. I'm geared basically for mostly damage, but also range, because I wanted to make sure people didn't get outside of the 150 kilometer range. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to lock on these guys, and I'm going to make them struggle, at least for a little bit. So I go ahead and lock on to Saif, lock on to Radiant, and I just start unloading with my large railguns from my Naga 2. Okay, so we got at least 2 guns on the Cyclone. No, sorry, 2 guns on the Balhorn, 4 guns on the Balhorn, and 3 guns on the Cyclone. And I just wanted to put some pressure on them, make it so that it wasn't going to be as fun to just take things out one at a time. And when I started getting through the Balhorn shields, I actually kind of had a moment of panic, because I was like, hey, I don't want to blow this thing up. I don't get the prize. So, but at the same time, I wanted to put some pressure on them. I didn't want this to just be one-sided, just sit there and float and wait for the next person to come in every 2 minutes. I was at that point that I realized that Radiant actually had target on, I believe, in the settings, and her drones just started picking at me, and I am not fit for defense. I am all offense because this is a PvE ship. So when I noticed that my shield, and I am a shield tank, about halfway, and my capacitor starting to drain, I was like, okay, I'll turn off my guns, and we can get back to normal fighting here, because I don't want to blow up. If I blow up, this is going to be kind of awkward. And the reason it's going to be awkward is because one of the main rules was don't shoot Gromire. Don't blow up Gromire. He's the ref. And I didn't want Radiant to accidentally take me out and be automatically disqualified, even though Radiant was so dominant for most of this match in that faction battleship. I didn't want it to be a cheap victory for anybody else. So I just let them know, don't shoot me. You'll be disqualified. Give them a little warning. These are just warning fires so that you can kind of participate a little bit more. And hopefully they started to fire at each other. Unfortunately, what we learned later, Saif has no weapons, pretty much. He's just healing the battleship the whole time. Okay, so the Gila has entered the field, and we got a nice looking skin here for that Gila. Very nicely done. I'm not sure what core that is, but very pretty. I like that. And he's actually keeping his distance. He's doing exactly what I wanted somebody to do, and he's just micro warp driving at a distance away from that Balhorn. Use the drones. Try not to take any direct hits. Try not to get drained, get your capacitor drained, and survive until the next round. So good job by Hunting, kind of recognizing that when you warp in. Maybe it was everybody else screaming in chat about the number 1 and number 2 teaming up that made him decide to do that, but that is the right strategy to have, and I was hoping more people would take that approach. Alright, so Hunting's Gila is able to outlast his round timer, and I'm going to go ahead and call in Zaaay here. Now, Zaaay registered as a Vexor, just a plain Vexor, no Vexor Navy issue. And he's going to warp in and hopefully not get popped as soon as he comes in. Hopefully the attention is on the Gila for now, and he can add a little bit, contribute a little bit to this fight, and we can get something good going on. Alright, I decided to do something that I should have been doing from the beginning, which is locking on to each target so that I can watch their health drop. Not everybody fits in the fleet window on the left, so that's definitely something that I'm going to look at doing for next time. But I have the Gila locked, and you can see Gila is at full health. Hunting is at full health right now, so doing pretty good, keeping their distance. Zaaay has just warped in the Vexor. I've got him locked so that we can watch how the health progresses. Radiant's Balhorn still taking nothing. Saif Cyclone still not taking any damage, and it looks like the targets are just kind of jockeying for position and getting ready to strike, and we'll see what happens in a little bit here. Alright, it looks like the Gila is drifting a little too close to the Balhorn, and yep, there goes half his shields. One volley, he's just going to start to get picked apart, Nosferatu'd, drained, webbed, and it doesn't matter at this point. When you get that close to that faction battleship, it's gonna be really ugly if you're in anything lower than a battleship yourself. Okay, so Zay's round is about up. I go ahead and prep Phenakite to come in, and I'm hoping that the Gila can last until Phenakite gets in here and we can have a little bit more craziness going on in the battlefield. Getting ready, watching the timer that I have next to me, and it's not looking good for Hunting over here. He's taking a lot of damage. He's getting drained. Capacitor's drained. He's almost completely still. I believe Radiant ended up using 3 webs, so once you get in range of those webs, you're not really going to go anywhere. Oh, the damage, it's melting. It's just melting. So sad to watch a beautiful ship like that go down, and oh, it breaks my heart. It really does. I love the Gila as a ship, but he got in way too close to that Balhorn. Alright, so I immediately switch over to the Vexor because I think we all know what's going to happen after the Gila goes down. And it's absolute dominance from Radiant's Balhorn at this point. Definitely needed to have more battleships, but I think that others might have been worried about risking their battleships, maybe didn't want to pay the insurance cost on this, and Radiant took a huge risk, and it looks like it's paying off at this point. Could have lost it, could have had to pay the insurance on that expensive ship, but looks like Radiant is just dominating. It doesn't help. I should say it does help also that Saif is completely healing him up most of the time. Alright, so we got a faction frigate here from Phenakite. Phenakite's coming in a Dramiel. And again, I'm really hoping that the speed taking can help, but I don't know if he's going to have enough DPS to take down that Balhorn anyway. Zaaay-Vexor is starting to get chipped at really quickly here, and I don't think it's going to last nearly as long as the Gila. Yeah, already into armor, and oh, that was too fast. I couldn't even switch over and watch the explosion. Sorry about that. Sorry, Zay, didn't get your explosion on camera. Oh my gosh, I did get the Dramiel though. I did get the Dramiel, and Dramiel way too close. Phenakite got in close, got triple webbed, and just popped before I could barely even say his name. Alright, so at this point, Saif had actually registered his ult as well, and I allowed it because whenever you're going to try and pilot 2 ships at once, that's at your own risk. You know, if you're willing to risk another ship, I'll go ahead and allow that. And Saif's ult here, Saif 2, had a Hound, and one of the rules that I came up with before this, because I didn't want anybody just stealthing and sitting and waiting, no cloaking on your ship. It just makes sense to me. He still wanted to go ahead and go with the Hound anyway. I think it was for the bombardment mode to try and take down larger ships, but he kind of warps in here, and yeah, we have a definite team situation going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and open fire again, and this time I'm not gonna be as gentle. I'm trying to take these ships down, but I mean, you have one Naga 2 against a Balhorn and a Cyclone healing it. It's just a nuisance at this point. So unfortunately, we're getting to the bottom of the list, and it looks like this is going to go first place to Radiant. Okay, so even as you can see, I got all my guns going on the Balhorn, all my guns going, not all my guns, but half my guns going on the Cyclone, and Saif is just full defense in that Cyclone. I'm just a nuisance at this point. I was hoping that maybe somebody could come in, and we have one competitor left. Last competitor, Lookslikejesney, and he's in our smallest ship. He was driving a, what was it? Condor II, that's right. He's driving a Condor II, and I think Jesney's strategy was just to get in while there was 3 or less people left and just claim at least one of those top 3 prizes, not get hit. But at this point, you're dealing with a Balhorn, a Cyclone, and a Hound, and that Condor II is not gonna do much other than maybe surviving to try and claim one of those top 3 prizes. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and lock Jesney's Condor II here and see how fast he can go down. Maybe he's quick. Maybe he can dodge the bullets. Maybe my pressure that I'm putting on with my rifles is doing something, causing some kind of confusion, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see. He's coming in around 40 kilometers right now, so not in range yet of the Balhorn's weapons, but I'm sure as soon as he gets close for those small missiles, those 3 webs that Radiant is using, is just gonna almost cause an instant pop. Alright, working his way a little closer. Looks like Radiant's closing in on him. And yep, there's one shot. Can't tell actually who's hitting him with the damage, but Condor II, he's going to go down real quick if he's not speed tanking. If he gets scrambled or he gets webbed, it's not going to be pretty. He is taking reduced damage from the hits though because of the speed, so it's not going to be the same percentage of damage as a larger ship might take, but it's definitely going to be enough with that low HP of a Condor II that I don't think he's going to make it back from this. So we get a little observation here because I know it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. And there he goes. Sorry, Jesney. Good try though. I know what you're trying to do, trying to get in that top 3 spot, but congratulations on your participation prize. And looks like we got 3 competitors left. We have Radiant in the Balhorn, Saif in the Cyclone, and Saif number 2 in the Hound. And at this point, it's going to be just Radiant cleaning up the crew, finishing everything off, and taking that first place prize, 500 million ISK. Alright, and you can see that Radiant is going to start doing some damage on the Cyclone, and Saif is actually doing a good job at holding his tank. He's very defensive. I forget what the total extended HP he had was, but he basically went 0 DPS and played for 2nd place this whole game. So he's holding out as much as he can, but you know with those 2 Nosferatus again from that Balhorn, it's just going to slowly drain you, and it's only a matter of time. Okay, so it looks like Radiant is getting a little tired of dealing with the tank of this Cyclone. It's going to go ahead and switch targets over to the Hound and just get rid of a little nuisance that's coming in. Got a little too close, going to get webbed, going to get nosed. And yeah. Cool looking ship, definitely not meant for a PvP tournament, especially when you can't stealth. So get a nice shot here of some action going on. It looks like Saif's trying to heal his Hound at the same time, but you're just not going to be able to heal through those large lasers. Radiant, Nosferatu draining Saif from a distance. The missiles from the Hound coming in, not doing a whole lot of damage. He is doing okay at speed tanking, taking reduced damage because of the speed, because of the angular velocity. But I think if Radiant switches over full-fledged over to the Hound, then it's not going to last very long, just like all the other frigates. Okay, so now that Saif has focused all of his attention on his ult, he's not healing himself at all. Radiant recognizes this, switches over to the battle cruiser real quick, gives it a huge couple of hits, and I think that Saif was not able to adjust in time to save this defensive Cyclone. Yep, just 1, 2, 3 pop, and we see the Cyclone go down. Good job, Saif. Well strategized little deal that you had going on. And here comes little old Hound getting drained with the capacitor, and yeah, it doesn't take long. That frigate is gone. So great job, Radiant. Great job, everybody, for participating. I had a lot of fun, even though I wasn't fighting. I hope everybody else had fun. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming, but yeah, I look forward to these kind of events. I look forward to putting these on more for the corporation. If you're interested in joining TVDI, you can shoot me a message in game. You can shoot me a message on YouTube. We can arrange something. And yeah, we have lots of corp events like this, not just PvP events. We have PvE events. We have treasure hunts, we have things, all kinds of things like that, mining events, and I just try to keep the game fun. This is a sandbox game after all. So good job, Radiant. First place, 500 million. C.M.S.A.F. Saif for second place, and C.M.S.A.F. Saif number 2 for third place. Everybody else who didn't place in top 3 received a 10 million ISK participation prize. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, if you want to see more gameplay like this, if you enjoyed the event and want to participate, hit me up. All right, thanks, have fun.